Welcome in, everyone. Actually, I will play this before I do anything else. Whoa.
That's funny. How's this for golf today? They've all decided to settle in the middle of the fairway.
Come on! Quick, quick, quick! Here, puppy!
Putting up with what? I am talk to people. I am out of here. Oh, what a oh, come on. What? Because I have a little conversation.
Te rasco la panza, Omar. Tranquilo.
Okay, I thought I'd just share that because I came across that yesterday and I just thought it was so adorable. Gotta love our roos, but that's actually a wallaby at the end, not a roo, for anyone who doesn't know. Good to see everyone. Welcome in Princess Pillow, Hugging Demons, Shine On, Deborah, BTTV, Sam Brown, Dodie, I know I saw you somewhere, Grover, TJ's mum, and I'm missing someone, Rita. Welcome in if I haven't said you, sorry. Oh yeah, gotta love our roos, and wallabies are my absolute favourite on the entire planet. I absolutely adore wallabies. I think I know where that is. That clearly that's at an actual like park. Not a zoo, but it's like a wildlife park. Clearly that wallaby is very used to being scratched. Welcome in, Deborah, and so many other people coming in right now. Now, I've been meaning to... Where is this? I've got to show you... I've already shown this to members. And I've been meaning to show it to you for ages. Belinda mentioned this in one of my lives about a week ago, and she sent me the video straight afterwards. And the number of times I've been in a live and suddenly gone, I forgot this video. So I'm going to play it through twice because it's a very short video. But this has got to be one of the most adorable videos of Lily that I've ever seen. This is the one Belinda was talking about when Lily tried Pop Rocks for the first time. And you'll see what I mean.
Is it good? Yeah.
I don't know whether to laugh or cry. So beautiful.
Can I try some? Hold out your hand. Is it good? Yeah.
So that's our Lily. Honestly, right now, I think we're almost up to 15 months. So, if you see Belinda around anywhere, just give her lots of love because this must be so hard right now. The reason I've got this up here is this is the reason for my channel. I've said this before. This is Kylie Rodney. This is why I started my channel. I, like many other people, believe that Kylie did not drown and that Kylie deserves justice. And I made a promise long ago that I'm staying here on the internet, on YouTube, for as long as it takes to get justice for Kylie. and I'm staying here for as long as it takes for someone in Florida to realise that Jen Soto needs to be arrested. And I'm staying here until justice is achieved for Lily and Jack. And the truth of the situation is, if someone decides to come at me and bully me, I just become more determined. I just become more hard-headed. And I just work harder. And I just stay in my lane and get on with my job. So I just wanted to put that out there before we start. Well, we're coming very, very close to the anniversary. I'm thinking of doing a live stream on the anniversary, where I will go through Kylie's case. Hopefully I can find a few of the old squirrels to come and join us on the live stream. BTTV knows what I'm talking about. Unfortunately, I don't think the head squirrel will be joining us, but I'm sure there'll be a few squirrels out there who will hopefully join us. So, yeah, watch this space, because I will be coming out and telling Kylie's story very soon. There's a lot that I can't say online. But yeah, I will forever be coming back and telling Kylie's story. Because she did not drown. For someone to have drowned, you need water in the lungs. You need water in the stomach. You need water in the airways, in the ear canals. Didn't have any of that. There's so many other things that prove that when that vehicle was put in that reservoir, Kylie was already deceased. And I know a lot of people probably, there's still people out there that come at those of us who talk about this and call us conspiracy theorists and stuff like that. Yes, true. When your lungs are the size of a toddler's, and when the location where your vehicle went into the water is a no dead-end road, where every other vehicle gets bogged before it can even end up in the reservoir. So many things. Yeah, it's some of the people behind Kylie's case. Oh gosh, I don't know how to word it. BTDB, can you maybe just put a brief explanation that I can whack up to? That works. That works. There's a risk for people who say too much publicly. I think that's probably the best I can say. Oh, nobody does. Whoops. Yeah. I think what BTTV says, that's probably the best way of putting it right now, and we'll leave it at that. Hi, Little Black Bear. Anyone else who's come in while I've been talking? The top theory on the case involves some young adults from very rich, very influential families, and that's probably the best I can do right now. I will be going through some of the media interviews and stuff on the anniversary of when Kylie went missing. Money buys a lot. A little teaser for you. When Adventures with Purpose announced that they had, the case is, oh my gosh, what is it now? 4 years? 3 years? 4 years? I'm losing track now. When Adventures with Purpose announced that they had found Kylie in her vehicle in the reservoir, there was a very expensive private jet that had been flying from LAX to, and I can't remember the other airport where it was destined. And this very expensive private jet suddenly changed route and flew to Truckee Airport, teeny tiny airport, and picked someone up and took them somewhere. No idea of any other facts around that, but $4 years, oh my gosh. But yeah. No, this wasn't in Australia. This was in Truckee, California, which is Northern California. Oh, if only we could get hold of those flight paths again, because they tell a huge story. They really do. Kylie was 16. Kylie was just less than a month short of her 17th birthday. And she was talented. You've heard her music. I mean, that's her singing in my intro and outro. She was so talented as a musician. She finished school early. She graduated early. So she was, the baby of her year group. She was just one of those young people who had the most enormous legacy that she could have gone on to create in the world. So talented. So we continue to fight. We still do a lot behind the scenes. We still talk about things behind the scenes. And this is why I'm here. I might not talk about Kylie a lot. But I'm not going anywhere. And, now I've added Maddie to that. I've added Lily and Jack to that. So many others that I've added who are the reason that I'm here and I'm staying here. I was playing around with a song this morning, but I don't think I'll play that right now. It is a very, very sad case. Yeah. I still get very sad when I think about it because, she could have gone on to do so much. Welcome in, Fred. Okay, just for a change of pace, just to set the mood, I'm going to go with, and I hope people aren't sick of these.
I had a glass of wine and poured another. Told the bad boy come right over. Left both doors open wide. He said you best be armed, I'm coming inside. I grabbed my QQ and some Merlot. Called my husband, said here we go. Message detectives on my phone. The bad guys coming, I'm not alone. They're chasing me down the road, doing 140 in my Mercedes load. Call 911, but they're too slow. Gotta reach the cops before they know. 6 police cars on my face. Ski mask dude in a Honda Chase. I'll race them all with my V8 while calling Ralph. Don't make me wait. He said slow down. I said no way. These hillbillies want me today. Pulled up to the station gate. The cops just stared and made me wait. They're chasing me down the road, doing 140 in my Mercedes load. Called 911, but they're too slow. Gotta reach the cops before they know. Met detectives at Tim Hortons, played the tape of all his warnings. Mad Dog said you did just right, while 9 more crates come out at night. Husband told him I'm not crazy, sent the cops home being lazy. Tomorrow getting faster wheels for when more villains chase my steel. They're chasing me down the road, doing 140 Mercedes load. Called 911, but they're too slow. Gotta reach the cops before they know.
Yeah, I think Superman Dan is still my favourite as well. But that one's still catchy. You probably get a few of them through this live stream because. Okay, so let's get back to, I think I've played just about everything. I'm thinking I might be having a play around after lunch in, maybe creating a few songs. So just, I don't know, playing around with stuff like that. So if I do, I might do like a members live stream and do it on a live with members and people can play around with it with me. Just throwing that thought out there. There's one that I worked on this morning, but I'm not sure if I'll find it in your community post if I can't. I should be able to view it in chat. I can see the link there, so I can go back after the live, or I can just grab it in your community post. Yeah, I had a play around with a new song this morning, but I'm probably going to have a bit of a play around after lunch as well. So I might just throw that up as just a random live for any members who want to come and just mess around. Okay, let's put Daniel back up on stage.
You're a narcissist, like just.
I think I've run it back a little bit. This is Daniel saying that if you're ADHD, you must be a narcissist sorry. If you are ADHD, you must also be a narcissist, which we know is not the truth. I had a big rant about it yesterday, so I'm not going down that road again today. But there was something that I missed that I do want to comment on from this statement.
Do you feel like at all that you're a narcissist? Like, just honestly, like, do you feel any part of you that feels like you're being narcissistic, or no? It's up to, I mean, honestly,
I said before that was a part of the ADHD that I have. And, you know, I did get an assessment done, and it turns out that I do have severe ADHD. And that will always come out as an aspect of narcissistic traits, right?
Okay, so I've already spoken about the people with ADHD are not narcissists. Far from it. Totally the opposite. But nobody gets diagnosed with severe ADHD. Now, he could. He could. But it's certainly not a trait that you normally see in people with ADHD. It's quite the opposite. This severe ADHD. Now, this is not a clinical term, just so we're clear. If that's what he's saying, that is coming straight from his brain. Yes, I will say that when I talk about my ADHD, I will say, yeah, I tick all the boxes. I am what is referred to as combined hyperactive attention deficit ADHD. And when you go through, there's a checklist. And the checklist's got various things that, you know, relate to ADHD. You check things off. And yes, you can tick all the boxes. But that you don't refer to it as extreme ADHD. It just means that you have ADHD. And, you know, you can either be one type of ADHD, another type of ADHD, or combined. So you might be hyperactive, or you could be attention deficit, like predominantly hyperactive, predominantly attention deficit, or you could be like me and just have squirrels all over the place and be combined hyperactive, inattentive, ADHD. Anyway, I just had to correct that because the guy's a tosser, honestly. Yeah, I just don't think it is ADHD. I think it's math HD. I'm not sure what other terminology you might want to use for it. MHD? MAHD? I'm not sure. But there's definitely an M in there for being a mathematician. The rest? Not sure. Anyway, moving on.
Narcissistic traits come with ADHD in some aspects or some capacity.
They do, yeah.
I'm just going to say bullshit again. I'm sorry. Just makes me so wild when someone thinks they know something about something and they are so wrong, especially when it comes to something like ADHD. Because those of us who are ADHD, those of us who live with ADHD on a daily basis, who have lived with ADHD our entire lives, it's really frustrating when you get some moron who has no understanding and suddenly tries to make a claim that because they're a narcissistic liar that they're ADHD. Yep. It's all a mathematical thing. Yeah. It's natural progression, isn't it? It's like now that people are not buying our BS, now that we can't actually convince people anymore that we're innocent, we need to come up with a new angle. And I think some people are starting to get very nervous too, I think. When you listen to the way Daniel talks, when you look at the way Malaya is now doing the whole tour, I guess you could say, there's a lot of nervousness right now, I think, amongst people. Because I think no matter how you look at it, that last press conference when Rob McCammon came out and inadvertently let slip that, yes, it is a criminal investigation, I think that was enough to make them realise that what we've all been saying for quite some time is the truth, and that there will be a resolution to this case. Yeah, that's a large thing. That they're already trying to create their own defence. And I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know why I always yawn at the start of a live stream. I wouldn't be surprised if this is also forming his defence for this upcoming case that he has. Yep, the mental health thing has become very popular. And look, to be fair, there are instances where a person might have a disability or a mental health issue and it might impact on everyday life, on how they handle the world. But when you get people like Daniel who suddenly discover it, suddenly push it, it just drives me nuts. Yeah. That's the latest strategy. He's really, really trying to play the audience now. He started off with the hero act. And welcome in, Karen, too. And Ariel, welcome in. I know I should have said that quite a while ago. He started with the hero act. And then suddenly that got very tarnished. So now he has to go with the poor me, it's all about my ADHD. Yes, exactly. He'll try and find a way of spinning it, that's for sure. It's disturbing.
And now I do have medication for that. And that improved my life immensely, because that's why I turned to substance abuse in the first place. My substance abuse disorder has been in remission for over a year now. But that was always a pitfall of mine, right? Because I was always seeking to normalize or seeking to feel normal. And in drugs and, you know, high dopamine things always made me feel normal.
Again, BS, Daniel. What a load of crock. What a load of crock. Here's where he starts to sell his thing of, oh, well, you know, I took mathematical stuff because it helped me get my brain leveled. It's his substance abuse disorder is in remission. I don't know if that's suddenly terminology that's being used, but it sounds ridiculous. And we know that it's not. We know that he's been, I mean, anyone just has to watch interviews or even listen to this or listen to Charmaine's, and you can hear the way he's talking changes throughout as he becomes more and more influenced. Oh, apparently he is, yeah. Yeah. It's a joke. It's just such a joke. And welcome in, Clapping Seal, also. Honestly, this part, some of it just leaves me speechless. And when I think, like, I've a number of times when he said, you know, he takes those things to feel normal. Well, if he's trying to say that he's medicating because he feels normal, because it makes him feel normal, you know, when I thought about it, like the first couple of times I was like, well, that's ridiculous. And I've thought about it. And for me, the reason I take ADHD medication is because it allows me to function on a more regulated level. It allows me to focus. It allows me, if I'm going down to Melbourne, to not have a panic attack in the traffic. It allows me not to get speeding tickets when I'm out driving. It's just a leveler. I wouldn't say that it makes me feel normal. It just makes me feel like my brain's just slowed down a bit and, you know, I'm focusing on one tab at a time instead of the 20,000 tabs that are all open at once. He's got no idea. Well, he's claiming that he's on ADHD medication now, and that fixes him. So he was trying to infer that the substance abuse stuff was because he wasn't medicated. But he doesn't get it all. Well, that's a good point. That's a really good point. That's his normal. Yep. Daniel, the Reader's Digest man. Oh dear. I should be jotting down some of these ideas because there's definitely a song in this, that's for sure. Oh dear. Yep, there's no medication for personality disorders. It's a shame.
But when it comes to narcissism, I don't believe I'm a narcissist. You know, there's probably a million people out there that think I am, but
Yeah.
it comes from a place of not being in tune of like who I am and many emotional aspects that I had to work on.
He doesn't get it at all, does he? Well, you know, I'm not really a narcissist, but I had to work on the emotional aspect of things because I'm completely incapable of showing empathy towards anyone else. And I can spend a 9-hour live talking all about myself, but I'm not a narcissist. Oh dear. No, I won't.
I don't believe I'm a narcissist because I wouldn't be speaking out for Lily and Jack. I would be selfish and not have this outward, you know, trying to speak outward, because if I had still displayed narcissistic traits, I wouldn't speak out. I would keep to myself and it would be selfish. But I know I get attacked I'm going to get attacked for just coming on here and speaking with you.
I don't have the words, honestly. Oh dear. Yep, I'm not a narcissist, but I needed to focus on myself. And, you know, if I was a narcissist, I wouldn't be doing a tour of the internet. Like, what? Because you are a narcissist, Daniel, that is why you are doing this tour of the internet, because you are so desperate to control the narrative. You are so desperate to control the way people see you. This has never for one moment been about Lily and Jack. This has been 100% about you. Like, oh my gosh, like, I really do not have the words. For someone to be such a narcissist and still come out claiming that they're not, when everything about them screams narcissist.
Yeah. And people are going to rip this all apart. But I'm doing it not for myself. I'm doing this for Lily and Jack. I would never do this for myself. I've never spoken out for myself. I don't like being in front of a camera. I got attacked every time for every word. I had to make sure my sentence structure was perfect. Every word was perfect, not use past tense.
Oh dear. Yeah, we believe you, Daniel. We believe you so much. Now, here's the thing. You're saying I had to make sure everything I said was perfect, every sentence, every word, and I can't use past tense. You know what? If you go and look at any interview of a parent or a guardian of a missing child, do you think they give a shit how they sound on camera? Sorry for the language. Do you think they care how they sound on camera? Do you think they care if their grammar is perfect? If they're choosing the right words? No, they don't care. I'm willing to bet that if you turned around and said to Belinda, when you come out and you talk to people, what is it that you are focusing on when you talk to people about Lily and Jack? And I can guarantee you it's not about worrying that people are going to look at the words she uses or how she says something. when Belinda speaks, you can tell that the thing that is important for her is getting the message out there for Lily and Jack. He's just a twat. He really is. And making sure I don't speak in past tense. We're 15 months on. I know we're not quite there, but it feels like 15 months now. We're only a week or so short, so, let's call it a spade a spade. The only reason to be super conscious now about whether or not you're using present tense or past tense talking about Lily and Jack is if you feel guilty, if you have guilty knowledge. Because I know I quite often speak about Lily and Jack in the past tense. Because sadly, the reality is, from everything we've heard, it really does seem that Lily and Jack are deceased. But the fact that Daniel is so conscious about it still, the fact that he has to monitor himself still and correct himself when he uses past tense, that's not coming from someone who's trying to be hopeful. Because you just look at the difference. Belinda, when she did the interview with CBC, I think it was quite open and said, I think these babies are gone. That was in June last year. Do you ever hear Belinda trying to correct herself in terms of speaking in present tense or past tense about Lily and Jack? No. Because Belinda has expressed very publicly that she believes that she knows Lily and Jack are no longer here. So she doesn't feel the need to explain herself if she uses past tense. You can't be claiming, as Daniel does, that you're certain they're still alive, and then apologising for using past tense. Because essentially what you're saying is you don't believe that they're still alive. But to me, it's a sign of guilt that he's got to actually point it out every time and try and correct himself. I try not to. To be honest, I'm not even conscious now of whether or not I use past tense or present tense anymore. I have to push that side of it down really, really deep, because otherwise I can't come on a live stream and I can't talk. And thanks for the jewels, very much appreciated. So I'm not even conscious of whether I use past or present tense a lot of the time. But if I do, then it's because I'm being genuine. It's not because I'm trying to cover my ass like somebody. But yeah, he picked up on it early on because in some of his early interviews, he was using past tense. The one where he's standing, when was it? The one when he's talking about Jack liking dinosaurs and worms, and he says, you know, they were best friends or something like that. So it was one of the very, very, very early interviews. He was already using past tense. And of course, he follows what everyone says. So he picks up on what everyone is saying. So, you know, he's had it pointed out for like 12 months. So he's very much aware. Oh, yeah, there is that. But, and he does use that. And I spoke about that the other day in terms of the regional dialect. But it's more than just that. It's like, you know, when he says things like, they were best friends. Or, you know, Lily loved this. That's the past tense that I'm talking about, as opposed to the seen and saw. Anyway, which is that's what I should have pinned up. But yeah, so I mean, there is that side of it, but at the same time, that's not the bit that I look at, because I realise I've been aware of that from very early on, that it is definitely part of the dialect, the local dialect. Yeah. There are a lot of places where you get that sort of thing. My grandmother would have whopped my ass. Well, not literally, but I had a grandmother who was very much about grammar, making sure I said everything correctly. But, you know, that's the different regional, cultural kind of thing. Yeah, and that's part of it too. These people have been in a very insular community. I can guarantee that none of them have been out of, well, they might have been out of Nova Scotia, but they've definitely never been out of Canada. They've not had to interact with people outside of their inner circle before. And suddenly the spotlight is on them. So he's learning. I mean, this is what he does. He's a chameleon. He adapts. So, but he just cannot program his brain, because his brain knows the children are deceased. Yeah. My grandmother was just your very old-fashioned, totally on top of it, making sure that everything I said was grammatically correct. And I'm actually thankful for that. I mean, at the same time too, you know, I grew up in a middle-class suburb going to middle-class schools. I followed the expected pathway that someone who goes to middle-class schools is expected to go. And I never questioned the idea of you finish year 12 and you go to uni, because that's just what you do. So I recognize that in terms of my view on the world, that it certainly comes from a very different perspective as someone like Daniel. So I recognize that, and I think it is something that we do need to be aware of. But it is amusing the way that he adapts constantly. Oh, I actually don't know anything about that. I'll have to look it up. I have to admit, here's me confessing to the fact that before I started following true crime, I had no idea about American geography. I had no idea where a lot of places were in America. I'm still learning. And there's a lot of things that seem to be just very well accepted in America that I just have no idea about. Same with Canada. I learnt so much about Canada since I've been covering this case. I think when it comes to education in Australia, I think in terms of geography and stuff, I think it was always more of a broader kind of thing for me. I don't recall really a lot of focus on like South Pacific area, but not so much on the other side of the world, except for maybe, and this shows how very Anglo-Saxon Australia is, the real focus on the UK. Yeah, I still see people referring to it as a country and not realising that it is actually a state in Australia. We all learn, and that's what it's about. Yep, definitely. Definitely. I won't say that out loud, but I agree.
And it was so hard. And so I put myself through a lot. And I know you want to speak there, so I'll shut up and let you talk.
And kind of like what you said in your one interview when you said, like, well, the stepdad always gets looked at, right? Well, that's absolutely true. I mean,
yeah, it is. It is 100%. Sorry for.
Actually, Karen, yeah, a lot of it probably is. I know I have a lot of Irish heritage. But then I've got an uncle who's got like Scottish heritage. And when you consider that back when Australia was a colony, we were colonised with convicts from the UK. So from England, Ireland, Scotland. So, you know, that side of it is probably there's a lot of Irish in there because, of course, it was always the Irish that were getting sent out to Australia. But one thing that a lot of people don't realise is that we also have a very large Chinese culture from the goldfields era. Like, you know, 1850s goldfields there were Chinese everywhere. We have this amazing Chinese, we have a dragon museum here in Bendigo that has so much of the Chinese culture. So, I mean, we are multicultural here, but when you look at, in terms of the education, the structures, etc., it's very much based on the British system. Oh dear, sorry. I'm glad you did, because that's just hilarious. Someone told me the mob crew have a really funny nickname for him, but I can't remember it. Oh, I can't believe he's still around. Unreal. SF, for anyone who doesn't know, is Steve Fisher.
Cutting you off.
No,
That's
okay.
another part of ADHD. It's bad. But
okay, I've got to call him out on this as well. I'll just play that again.
Fully investigated, and I still ask them, every investigators. I'm not going to use. I never use names. I just say investigators. I always ask investigators, like, shoot me as many questions as you can. Like, I'll come in. I want to sit down with the lead investigators.
I don't think I ran that back.
One interview when you said, like, well, the stepdad always gets looked at, right? Well, that's absolutely true. I mean,
yeah, it is. It is 100%. Sorry for cutting you off.
No,
that's
okay.
another part of ADHD. It's bad.
Okay, that I wanted to call him out on, because he wasn't doing that in the past. I have pointed out before, the one and only time out of all the interviews, all the panel discussions up until this point, when Daniel actually cut someone off, was when he was talking to DT. And DT was talking about the boot print over on the pipeline and the blanket. And DT started saying that people might think that it's headed in the direction of your uncle's property or something like that. And that's when Daniel jumped in and, sounding like he was almost in a panic, and spoke over the top of DT. But if you listen to everything up until that point, and everything between that point and here, it's actually not normal for him to speak over the top of people like you just did then. So he's decided, oh, that's an ADHD trait. Let's throw that in to convince people that I've got ADHD. That's my opinion, but, you know.
But I was fully investigated, and I still ask them, every investigators. I'm not going to use. I never use names. I just say investigators. I always ask investigators, like, shoot me as many questions as you can. Like, I'll come in. I want to sit down with the lead investigators, and I want to sit down with your guys' team, and we can sit there and you guys shoot off as many questions as you can to me, and I'll try to help in any way I can. I still ask for more polygraphs all the time. It probably gets annoying for them that I keep asking for a polygraph. Here, take.
I'm trying so hard not to laugh right now. So, one of the first wins for Daniel, way back at the beginning of this case, was when he told the media that he'd asked for a polygraph. And I think a lot of people jumped on it and were like, see, he must be telling the truth because he's asked for a polygraph. And then even in a later interview, one of the interviewers was like, oh, you said that you asked for a polygraph. Did that happen? And he was like, oh, yeah, you know, and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this, but I passed. It was his first big win. For him, it was his way of, in his mind, it convinced people that he was the good guy, that he was innocent. Now, he's tried several times to say that detectives have told him, we're not looking at you, Daniel. We know you're innocent. We've cleared you. But then he keeps coming back to, I've asked for another polygraph. It's mind-boggling. It's like a kid going, can we play that game again? That was a fun game. Can we do that again? It's nothing about Lily and Jack at all. And he claims he's not a narcissist. At the end of the day, what would it achieve? If he believes he's innocent, if detectives have told him that they know he's innocent, according to him, if they've told him they're not looking at him, then at the end of the day, why would you need to ask for a polygraph? What does it achieve? It doesn't achieve anything. That's the thing. You just listen to the way he lies. It just trips off his tongue. He believes what he says. And I think that's part of the reason why so early on in the case there were so many people that were sort of like Team Daniel, because he's so confident. He lies with so much confidence that people go, he must be telling the truth because he's so confident. Someone who can lie with that much confidence is going to beat a polygraph exam every time. Oh, he has to point everything out, Karen. Everything. Well, he's given different versions. There was the one version where he said that they said, well, you did good. Did good could mean, look, you made it right through. You answered every time we asked you a question. Did good could also have been a response to, did I pass? And the examiner was probably like, well, I'm not going to tell you that, so I'm just going to tell you, you did good. But look, at the end of the day, they can tell him he passed if they want to. Especially when you've got someone like Daniel who's so cocky and he's coming out and saying so much stuff in public. They wanted him to think for as long as possible that he was, they were his mates, essentially. I think it really took the wind out of his sails when the dog handler basically confronted him. And just to be clear on that, the dog handler would not have done that without the go-ahead from Major Crimes Unit. They would have been given a briefing beforehand. And it was probably a very convenient way of having an outsider come in and play bad cop without ruining the relationship that they were trying to make Daniel think he had. Yeah, that's what it is. It's just that whole, you did good, kid. You finished it. You did what you were asked to do. It's not saying you passed. It's just encouragement. Well, yeah, good on you. You did it. Yeah, I think there's some things that he's convinced himself of.
My phone, like even down to the very first time, like when they said to me, "Hey, Daniel, we want access to your phone. Can you sign a consent form?" And I said, took my phone and just threw it right across the table. I said, "Here, we don't even need a consent form. Just take."
Oh, sorry. I had a mouthful of Pepsi, but I had to pause there. How to completely crap all over your own lies. Do you remember? In fact, we know this. Everyone will remember this because it's something that he repeated so many times. In the early days, Daniel told us that he offered them his phone. He volunteered his phone. Here, take my phone. He's just completely shot himself in the foot with his own lies. After so long saying, I even offered them my phone, he's just turned around and said, the first time, how many times have they had your phone, Daniel? The first time they took my phone, they said, Daniel, we need your phone. We need you to sign a consent. And I went, here you go. He's just admitted that, no, it wasn't his idea for them to take the phone, that actually it was part of the investigation. 10 out of 10 for that one, Daniel. You did good. I think I'm just going to start from now on just going, you did good, Daniel. Well, that's the other thing too. It suits his narrative to say he passed. Yeah, exactly. There are some things that are a standard answer. If someone asks you, how did you do? You're not going to say, you sucked. You did bad. It's the answer that belongs with the question. It's the normal response. If someone says, how did I do? The normal response is, you did good. It's nothing more than that. It's a shallow exchange. Yeah. And, you know, they checked the box that said not criminal. Yeah, exactly. Like, you're fine. It's all good. You did good. Yep, he does. He desperately needs that pat on the head. Oh dear. What was the I'm showing my age here. Family Ties. Oh, sit, Ubu, sit. Good dog. Sorry, I just had to pull that one out from the vault.
It. And they said, no, Daniel, here's your phone back. We'll have to get you to sign a consent form. Like, I always asked for stuff first. Like, I was always open. I'm always cooperative. I do everything I can. And people always say, oh, just take Daniel in and put him in a room and just question him. I want them to do that because then it gives the best chance of finding the kids. If I have any small detail that may, help in any way, I'm always willing to do that. And I used to lay in bed every night and I would just lay there for like an hour or 2 hours, just in the dark, just running over that whole morning in my head over and over and over.
Oh dear. I actually have tears in my eyes from laughing at this idiot. But yeah, Janie clearly didn't give him enough pats on the head. Unreal. Where do you start? Again, he's trying to push the narrative of he's offered all these things after admitting they're the ones who asked him for his phone. I want to be taken in a room and interviewed. Other occasions, he's admitted that they have given him formal interviews. He's forgetting what he's told people. But here's the thing. This is the thing that really stands out to me. He's talking about lying in bed in the dark and thinking about it for a whole 2 or 3 hours at night. Maybe he needs to go have a look at some of the earlier interviews of Rob McCammon, even. Because when you look at some of those earlier interviews of Rob McCammon, the bags under his eyes have got bags. Because clearly, like many other people, Rob McCammon has lost a lot of sleep over this case. I know I've lost a lot of sleep over this case. I've had nights where I've been barely able to sleep because it's been going through my mind. Anyone who is genuinely concerned, I don't even want to ask how much sleep Belinda has lost over this case. Because the thing is, if you were genuinely concerned about Lily and Jack, if you were genuinely wondering what happened to them, you're not going to lie in the dark for 2-3 hours thinking about it and then just switch it off and go to sleep. It doesn't work that way. So the fact that he's put this teeny tiny timeline on it shows us that obviously he's heard someone talking about the idea of, keeping you awake at night. Oh my gosh, that's a scary thought. Toddler Daniel, no thanks. I think he's heard people talking about, it's the sort of thing that should be keeping you awake at night. So many of us have spoken about how the last interactions would be going through your head over and over. How you would be thinking about every moment from up until when you realise they went missing over and over. So he's tried to make it sound like that's what he's doing. But it falls flat. Because he's like, yeah, I think about it for a few hours when I'm lying in bed in the dark. For 2-3 hours. But then, I switch it off. It's... Yep, that Daniel and Janie, little kid being chased around by an angry chicken. So, yep, I can picture that.
Looking for any small detail I can pull out or anything that I can remember. And investigators told me, Daniel, don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself. It will drive you insane. Like your mental health matters. And
well, it's
BS. That conversation never happened between him and investigators. As if they're going to say that. Yeah, exactly. But he thinks that's how it works. Again, the chameleon thing. He's been listening to what people say, hasn't he?
Is this comment true that I'm just saying? I heard someone say it the other day. Daniel, was Cindy at the trailer at 5:48 a.m. on May 2nd? Was Cindy there early in the morning? I know you've only ever talked about that you felt like she got there fast after, like way too fast, even though the time, via the phone showed that she didn't arrive till like afternoon. But
we can touch on that. The 8:48.
God, I hate it when he says that. We can touch on that. It's like, yeah, let me think about how I'm going to spin this story. Yeah, he definitely, he dreamed it. Yeah, and he couldn't remember Thursday because it was just another day. Like, BS, Daniel, that was the last time you saw the children, so you should have it etched in your brain. Yep, true. So true. Honestly, seriously, this Cindy thing, 5:48, I'm guessing it comes from Scamneither. Everything seems to come from her with her ridiculous stories. It's the first I've heard this version of it. But I get that he wants to push the narrative against... It's okay, Mouse. Yeah, it is. Sorry. I guess I get that he wants to push the narrative against Cindy and Haley in that, because he resents them for stepping in at the house. But this whole pushing this thing of Cindy was there way too early. There's text messages that show that she really wasn't. Like, not only that, RCMP can prove that she really wasn't. But he just has to.
Like, I have no idea. I was sleeping at that point. I didn't even know the kids were being kept home from school that day. I had no idea. And
he pushes that hard, doesn't he? I really didn't know they were being kept home from school that day. I had no idea. Because, of course, that's got to be part of the narrative. If the children were already deceased, then part of the planning has got to be calling in and saying the children are not going into school because they're unwell. But, he's got to really push that he had no idea. I know. And it also gives that whole thing of, I'm better than you. I will allow you to talk about that. Welcome in, baby monkey. I'm trying to... Just looking at what you're saying. You mean the new boyfriend's off the scene already? That was quick. That was really quick. And thank you for the super chat as well. Much appreciated. Yeah, it could be. It could be a bit of therapy speak, doesn't it? How many is that now, baby monkey? Is it 2 or 3? anyway, I do need to do some videos and things that focus back on Malaya, because I know I've said a lot about I'm thinking 3. Oh, thank you for gifting the membership, Little Black Bear. Appreciated. That's okay. Welcome in, Anki. It's always good to catch up with family regardless. It's so tedious sometimes listening to all the crap that Daniel comes out with, isn't it? Like, it's never ending.
Because I lay in bed with Meadow every single morning. Malaya would get up, get the kids off to school. I would lay in bed with Meadow and sleep. On days that I didn't work, I would lay in bed with Meadow because she was just over a year old, right? She was almost a year and a half. And I would lay in bed with Meadow every morning when Malaya would get the kids up for school. I didn't know they were being kept home that day.
He's really pushing this hard. Really pushing hard with the I lie in bed with Meadow. Oh, Marlene got the gifted membership. That is so cool. Congratulations. This lying in bed with Meadow thing is a response to so many people calling them out for lying in bed when, or according to their story, lying in bed while Lily and Jack were up and about. He's not going to say it expressly because that's not how Daniel operates. But what he wants people to connect to here is him saying, of a morning, Lily and Jack are Malaya's responsibility because I lie in bed with the baby. Thank you, Little Black Bear. Very much appreciated. So much appreciated. I must admit, after Maddie's case, I struggle with that sort of thing, but I'm not sure if he even was really doing what he's saying here. Because the early narratives have Malaya going and getting the baby and bringing her into bed with her. And there's never any mention of, the baby being pulled out of her crib while Malaya gets the children ready for school or anything. In fact, the early narratives were that Daniel did everything for Lily and Jack. He's the one who was getting them ready for bed. He's the one who was teaching Jack to zip up his jacket, which you would think would be what you're doing when you're getting the kids ready for school. This narrative of lying in bed with Meadow, Baby M, is new. So I don't know if it's truthful. To me, this is definitely a response to people saying, well, at the very least, they're guilty of neglect for not paying attention to Lily and Jack when they got up. See, and that's the thing. He couldn't say, I was in bed as usual, without adding the baby in, because then that takes any sort of culpability away. This was my role in the morning routine. My role was to be with the baby and make sure she got sleep, and Malaya's role was to get the children ready for school. Ergo, I'm not responsible for the children being out in the yard in the morning because that's not my role. It is. It's about He did. When he was doing the interview on the turkey show, and the turkey guy said, "Would you have known if Malaya got out of bed?" And his first response is, and then he kind of backtracks on it and says, "Well, you never know." But his first response was, she would have disturbed the baby because the baby was in the crook of her arm. He gets lost in his lies so often.
Them absence at 6:17 and 6:18 a.m. But I have no idea if Cindy was there at 5:48 or whatever that comment says. I didn't even know they were marked absent until, I looked at my email and I seen the email. But
Thursday night, Malaya called Cindy. Did you know about that phone call?
Thursday night, or was it the one that was in the afternoon?
Thursday night.
Oh, I'm just going to call this out. If you're a content creator and you're covering a case, but you take a lengthy break, or if you're covering many, many other cases and only coming back to this case once a week or something, and you're not following the discussion that's going on around the place, don't jump on new narratives without asking where they're coming from and who they're coming from. Because I can guarantee this 548 thing is coming from Scamnita. And it's a load of BS. But at the point when Sunny was doing this, she hadn't sussed Scamnita out because she hadn't been following what was going on. The 11 p.m. phone call that's being claimed, I don't know the origins of that either. But you just have to look at the documents to realise that never happened. Because they have a clear timeline of Cindy's communications with Malaya. And in that clear timeline, the part that was redacted was the 8:30 a.m. phone call, which makes things look really sus, given that Malaya and Daniel were supposedly asleep. But 11 p.m. an 11 p.m. phone call to Cindy, there's no reason for them to leave it out of the documents. It wouldn't have been redacted for starters, like the 8:30 a.m. So, no, she did not ring Cindy at 11 p.m. 12, I think. I'd have to go back through the documents, but I think it was 12 o'clock that she rang the RCMP about Cody. And I realise now from listening to one of Belinda's recent discussions that what she did, and this is really low, she messaged Belinda to find out where Cody was, saying something like, actually, hang on, bear with me. I know I've got screenshots. That's where it comes from. Okay. We'll try this one first. Belinda shared these. Oh, here we go. Bingo. Wow. Just looked at the time of it. At 1:30 a.m. in the morning, she messaged Belinda and said, "Can I please get Cody's number? The police are trying to locate him." And then there was some deleted message. And have you had contact with him recently? And if I pull that down, oh, actually, we can't see that bit. But it basically says Cody is living with me. So she basically, in the middle of the night, bothered Belinda with trying to find out where Cody was at, knowing full well that Cody had nothing to do with the disappearance of her children. Like, seriously.
Know about any calls on Thursday night?
I know the one in the afternoon.
Yeah, because the one in the afternoon, that was, I never really talked about that, but that's when we stopped in at Acropole and we got food, right?
Yeah.
And when I was getting out of the car, because, you know, we made the call, we ordered the food, and when it was ready.
It's a classic deflection, isn't it? Because I think that on that Saturday they were already getting pressure put on them by RCMP. The major crimes didn't come in until the next day. The Friday they were already getting pressure on them. So I think it was a let's deflect. She got the idea in her head then and there. She was worrying about them focusing on her and Daniel and thought, let's make Cody a scapegoat. Yeah. 1:30 a.m. is... Seriously, why would you be worrying about where Cody is at 1:30 a.m. in the morning unless it was for your own benefit? Yeah. There's a lot of things that I've heard Belinda say that Malaya has told her. And my reaction is Malaya's manipulating you or Malaya's lying to you. And I could see that being her once again wanting to go at Cody for some reason. She was pissed at him probably because he couldn't afford child support. And this was probably her way at striking back, essentially. Because that's what it would have been. It would have been striking out at Cody because he couldn't afford child support. And I do remember hearing Belinda mention that.
I walk in and pick it up and pay for it. So, but she called the exact time that I was getting out of the car to walk inside to get the food. And that's when that's the call in the afternoon.
Hang on, I'll run that back because this is where the narrative has changed, which again is wrong.
Meadow and sleep. On days that I didn't work, I would lay in bed with Meadow because she was just over a year old, right? She was almost a year and a half. And I would lay in bed with Meadow every morning when Malaya would get the kids up for school. I didn't know they were being kept home that day. She marked them absence at 6:17 and 6:18 a.m. But I have no idea if Cindy was there at 5:48 or whatever.
I ran it back too far, but I think it's a demonstration of how manipulative Malaya can be. Yes, I've pointed out the coercive control stuff. Yes, I've pointed out that there's a level of trauma that was existing. But it's the things like this that show us that Malaya is just as capable of manipulation as Daniel. Because that was about striking out at Cody, attacking Cody, because she's probably stressing over money. Oh, totally. Totally. I agree, Karen. My initial observation when I look at her interview, when I look at her letter, I believe she's more manipulative than Daniel. Yeah, quite possible. I do have a video that I've been planning on working on, where I do need to highlight the choices that she has made, because I know that it's easy for me to come out and talk about the coercive control and to talk about the trauma side of things. But we need to balance that out by understanding that she is a manipulative individual and that she made choices and she said a lot of lies. Oh, yeah. Although I don't think it's more about she's sitting back and letting Cheryl do the manipulating. She's one of these people who lets other people do the manipulating, and they don't realize that actually she's still in control, in my opinion. I'll come back to this in a separate video, but I agree with you. I do. $100%. And I do plan on doing a live stream or two where I sit and go through her letter for Please Bring Me Home, because you can see a lot of the manipulation that goes on there. You are more than welcome to disagree, deafening silence. And I love that we have people in here who are coming at this from different angles and who have different perspectives that they can share. It's so complicated. Okay, I want to listen again to this Acropole stuff that he's talking about. Yeah, but I think that was a scribing error. I really do. That wasn't the first draft of that statement. I think she was copying out what she'd written or what someone had helped her write, and that's where we get the scribing errors. There's a few words where she's written the words and left like the E off the end and stuff like that. So yeah, anyway, but I'll look at that another time.
That comment says, I didn't even know they were marked absent until, I looked at my email and I seen the email. But
Thursday night, Malaya called Cindy. Did you know about that phone call?
Thursday night, or was it the one that was in the afternoon?
Thursday night.
No, I didn't know about any calls on Thursday night.
I know the one in the afternoon.
Yeah, because the one in the afternoon, I never really talked about that, but that's when we stopped in at Acropole and we got food, right?
Yeah.
And when I was getting out of the car, because, we made the call, we ordered the food, and when it was ready, I walk in and pick it up and pay for it. So, but she called the exact time that I was getting out of the car to walk inside to get the food. And that's when that's the call in the afternoon that, Cindy and Malaya had.
Okay, we know that's complete utter BS because we know what time Cindy made the call. We can see that in the documents. We can also see where they were when, because the RCMP went through Malaya's GPS with her. They know that she was home when she had the phone call with Cindy. So I'm not sure whether this is one that's just Daniel had no idea that the phone call happened and he kind of pulled this out of his ass trying to figure out when it might have happened. But one thing it shows is that he wasn't around after they got back to the property. When Malaya was on a call with Cindy, Daniel wasn't around. Now, here's what makes this interesting. Because this FaceTime call with Cindy, Malaya says something along the lines of that Cindy would have seen the children at that time. The narrative, according to Janie and Daniel, is that they came home, the children were playing out in the yard, and Janie was waiting for Daniel to get his tools, so she was raking, and then her and Daniel were fixing the fence. And according to Janie, the kids were outside essentially until she went in around dark to get supper, and they were still outside. So when you put it together like that, it is quite possible that Cindy definitely did not see the children on that FaceTime call on the Thursday. Because when you look at it that way, it is quite possible the children were already outside playing when Cindy and Malaya had that call. It would be an interesting debate, deafening silence. I'm not good on the spot with debates. It's one of my major ADHD issues is the whole the processing delays essentially. So sometimes if, you know, someone says, well, you know, such and such a thing, and I want to argue against it, my brain struggles to come up with the things that I need to help support my argument. I'm not sure if I'm explaining that well, but I'm not good at thinking on the spot in terms of offering justification for my thinking. Yep, fixing the orange snow fence that you buy by the roll. Yep. The Thursday afternoon's just a mess, a complete utter mess. It's well, we do know that, that's for sure. Yeah, when we start looking at this Thursday afternoon phone call, Daniel's basically admitting that he wasn't around in the house at the time of that phone call. To me, that either places him out looking for his tools or out helping Janie, which places the children outside. Yeah, I think it could just be a risky one to do because we would get a lot of trolls in. I'm not sure, like, I love the idea, but I'm not sure how well it would go because I think there would be a lot of people who have polarized opinions. It's not something that I don't think I'd do well with. I think the situation with Thursday, they never planned for it. I think the idea was to give the story that we heard the children in the other room, and then when we woke up, they were gone. And they didn't realize that when you report children missing, one of the first things that's going to happen is that they're going to want to look at the timeline preceding when they went missing. So I think they just didn't plan for Thursday because they didn't think they were going to be asked about it. And then they had to scramble for a story, essentially, which is why it's so hollow. But I think, too, I mean, everything from, to me, the last really tangible thing from anyone is Janie talking about after they got home on the Thursday and seeing the children outside playing by the playhouse. And she has this conversation with Jack about the worms and the centipede. Welcome in, Gail. Good to see you here. So I think after that, there's nothing really tangible. Most of it is common sense, not much of that on Dearlock Road. So true, so true. How much of this have I got here in terms of... I think this is where it starts getting confusing in terms of the timeline, navigating the timeline and stuff like that. I think Daniel's completely lost with talking about Thursday afternoon. Actually, whoops. There wasn't actually a pile of firewood under the swing set. That was moved there afterwards. The pile of firewood was actually at the front end of the driveway, and it was moved later. I think we have images from the 8th of May. I'm not sure if I've got them on here. Let me have a look. No, I don't think I've got them. I will come back and discuss those, the wood pile again. I've looked at it before, and I did put a video out about it before, but I've got more concrete things in terms of the timeline, better images, so I'm going to come back to that. I don't do readings, Gail. Has anyone got any updates on Parker? Have we heard anything new? Because I didn't get time to search this morning to see if there's any new information. I feel bad saying that because he's been on my mind so much. No, there weren't. There definitely wasn't a wood pile under the swings early on. Oh no. But they had to sooner or later. Sooner or later, they had to scale back the search. Something about a new location to be searched. Oh. That's... You heard the police stated they're certain he wasn't abducted and they're focusing on the park. Nose Hill Park. The grass there is so long. He could be hidden somewhere in that park and they could walk straight past him. I still worry so much about it being a Michael Vaughan kind of situation. Because they have footage of him and then he just vanishes. And it just takes for the wrong person to be in the wrong place. And, you know, a crime of opportunity. And if it's a crime of opportunity and someone has snatched him and taken him into a house, it's possible that there might not have been any witnesses or there might not have been any camera footage. And that's what frightens me so much. Because there were no witnesses when Stacey Wanderer took Michael Vaughan. There was no camera footage when that Stacey Wanderer took Michael Vaughan. He just vanished. The thing is, if they're switching the search to Nose Hill Park. That they would know he's not out in an exposed area, not for a week. There is a possibility that the reason they're searching Nose Hill Park they are done as of today for searching Nose Hill Park. Right, so they've done Nose Hill. They've opened the park. Abduction is very rare, but when you look at the victimology, look at the amount of area that he covered when he was walking. He went a really long way. He just has to walk past the wrong house. And it can be really quick. They still have leads to go through. Is that what they've stated? They have leads to go through? That's a little bit disturbing. If they're saying they've got leads to go through, that could mean that they are considering the possibility that someone has snatched him. I hope I'm wrong. I really want to be wrong on this. Okay, they have videos to go through and review, no leads. Right, thank you. It really seemed like he thought he knew where he was going. I think he was trying to get home and got lost. Because he did. He made this beeline to that area and then he just kept circling around. Yeah, this is giving me a bad feeling. You know, when they start saying they'll return to an area if there's new leads, when yeah. Anyway, I don't want to think about that. I don't want to go down that road. But the fact that they're not saying anything in terms of, you know, the possibility of a crime of opportunity, I think they're keeping their cards close to their chest and they don't want his family to lose hope. But it's just concerning. I agree with you. And the thing with autism is that it can be such a small trigger. It could be a new staff member came in or someone was too loud. I can't get past the fact that there's a half-hour block of time before they realised he was missing. How is that possible in a day home? with a non-verbal autistic child. That is sheer negligence. Well, that's the possibility. If he was looping around that area and someone spotted him, they could have followed him. That's not the Christmas before they went missing, that's for sure. They're both quite a bit younger there. Their statement, oh, we acted as soon as we realised that he was missing or something like that. They were trying to give the impression, and they followed their protocols or whatever like that. Trying to give the impression that there wasn't a half-hour block of time between when they last saw him and when they realised that he went missing. I think they're Christmas 2024. There is, let me have a search. I do have, I might not have it on here though. Just scrolling down to all my Jack and Lily photos, because there actually is a photo from the Christmas before they went missing, because you can see them with baby M. I've got so many photos on here. Just try to get down to Jack and Lily. Slowly getting there. Where is it? Oh, maybe I haven't got it on here. Unless I've got them in different batches. Bear with me, I'm just trying to see this photo. It would be so much easier with StreamYard if you could actually access folders instead of having to scroll through all your images, because then I could just go directly to the folder and find it, instead of having to scroll all the way down and then search through around other images and stuff. Dang it, I can't see it here. It's possible that I did not transfer it onto here. Here we go. So there is a photo from the last Christmas that they were at Gerlock Road. I tend to avoid it because there's something in Jack's body language that I don't like. Same place for the tree. Yeah. Poor little things. I just want to know what was going on here. They do look quite thin, don't they? Jack's in a very protective stance. He's got himself scrunched up. He's got himself pushed up against the wall. The whole protecting his core. I mean, it could just be that he was trying to push back against the wall to look at the lights on the tree or something. I don't know. But yeah, I'm not sure what it is. But it looks like the baby's reaching for a ball. She's definitely got her eye on one of those balls. Yeah, he is. He's making himself look small. And he's protecting his core at the same time. He's got... Oh, yeah, her little arm. Too cute. The fingernails, if you really zoom in, and I can't with this one, there's actually little love hearts. She's drawn on them. Yeah, this is why I rarely show this one, because it does make me sad. It's... I don't know. You know, it was... I don't even want to verbalize it. But it does make me sad. I think they probably felt a little bit jealous of the baby as well. If it's true what they're saying about her getting all the attention. And that certainly seems to be Malaya's pattern. Yeah. Yeah, when you zoom right in, you can I'm not sure if it's exactly this one or the one in the same dress and she's painting something or colouring something. But one of these ones, you can zoom in, you can actually see one of those bits on her fingernail is the shape of a love heart. Yeah, that did. The first time I looked at it, I thought they were black from like being slammed in something. But yeah, when I zoomed in, I could see that they were done with like a marker, and one of them is a definite love heart. Yeah. I think this is why this is such a potent image to look at, because it just, I think it reminds us of, you know, that they were babies. Yeah. I think I'm going to wrap it up here. I don't want to go back to listening to anything from Daniel right now, not after looking at this photo. it just makes me so sad when I see this. It makes me angry. It makes me sad. To quote Belinda, they deserve so much better. And they didn't get it. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there. So thanks for coming in. I appreciate everyone who comes in and listens to my live streams. Thank you so much for your support. If you haven't hit the like button, please do hit the like button. It helps me out. And if you're listening on replay, please do leave a comment. Yeah, Lily, I kept trying to press on it. Keeps packet. Yeah. I think Lily did look out for the little ones, that's for sure. Thanks for coming in, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.